Hi everyone, it's Jason and welcome to my monthly roundup for September 2023. This is basically a summary of everything I've got up to hobby-wise over the last month, including projects I've been working on, videos I've been watching, new models I might have purchased, those type of things. So, let's not waste any time. Let's get to the table so you can see what I've been working on. Alright, what you're looking at here is a new Halfling Army. So, if you've been watching the channel at all over the years, I started off this halfling craze of mine with TT Combat's reigns of Shield Maiden halflings. They were just, I don't know, I was drawn to them. They were really cool. They have, sort of a Viking, sort of Norse theme to them. They were really, really cool. And so I built up a force of those. You got the warriors, the cockatrice, some goat riders, crossbows, some stealthy ones. Really nice little range. And then, of course, they brought out the undead halflings, which were fantastically cute models. Had to get them, so I started working on them. And I built up this sort of narrative in my head of like this halfling realm where all the races on this huge island or mixture of islands, um, all halfling based. Maybe the gravity's really low there, who knows? So I decided to make a new one. So I wanted one, obviously I've got the Norse sort of feel to it and the undead feel, so I wanted a more sort of chivalric medieval style army, and I came up with this theme. So this is my Order of the Griffin, and this is going to be led by this figure right here. So this is the Mantic Alares hero, which is basically like a flying dog. What I've done is I've just added the sort of griffin head from the Griffhounds from Games Workshop, changed up a couple of bits on the rider, and now I have a mini griffin to lead my army. I also have a foot version of him, which is over here. I quite like this model. He's got a fork and a chicken leg in his hand as his weapons, which is quite fun. So the theme is obviously very griffin based. In my head, the narrative is that they live sort of closer to the mountains where the griffins live, and they protect the griffins, and therefore the griffins come to fight with them in times of need. And the various mutations of griffins is what they use in the armies. Like, for example, the small griffin, which is a riding, sort of a young griffin, which is a rider or mount for my general. And then over here, we have the Griffin Rider Elite Cavalry. So these are just halflings mounted on griffhounds. I quite like this idea. I was thinking about what sort of cavalry I was going to do for this army, and my partner Carla suggested, why don't I use the griffhounds from Age of Sigmar and mount them on halflings? And I was like, that's a great idea. And then I had to figure out how I was going to do that. So I got the griffhounds from Games Workshop, and then I saw Mantic do a halfling. Obviously, at the time when I started doing this army, they did a halfling army, and they did these heavy heavy armored cavalry units, which you had to buy separately because they all get mounted on dogs. So that's happening there. So I've got the Mantic halflings on the top with the Games Workshop Griffins. You can see one there. I still need to make a standard bearer for that one. So that was one of the cavalry units. I quite like that. So this will be like the heavy cavalry choice, and then as a light cavalry, I'll have maybe less armored halflings mounted on sort of ponies or something to that effect, which I think will be quite cool. Then that same kit provided a foot and mounted version, so I've got the sort of heavy infantry over here. Obviously, keep in mind this is all halflings based in a halfling realm, so that's why I can call them heavy infantry. If they were fighting against, say, something else, they might not be that heavy, but it works in this setting. And then we've got a couple of characters. We've got the chef over here, which is effectively a wizard. So the chef and the wizard, they are basically my wizard characters. I've originally did a chef. This was from Last Sword Miniatures. I quite liked him. I had to include a chef in my army, so I'm thinking of using him more as a rather than a wizard, but more like a cleric or a battle standard, that type of thing. Something that creates a morale effect for the army, as opposed to an actual person who casts spells. maybe the little pot with whatever it's cooking in there adds benefits to the unit it joins, something like that. This little fella, this is from Titan Forge, and there was 3 little options, but I really like the option with the sort of fiery archer, especially as you'll see in the corner units. Yeah, archers are quite heavily influenced, or is a big influence in this army, so he's fitted the theme nicely. So he'll be an actual wizard with some wizard spells. And that big boy at the back there is the wild griffin from Last Sword. So they do actually do a griffin where you can ride, but then they did this griffin, and I kind of like the idea of this, because I didn't want like a huge griffin like this with a halfling sitting on the back, as I didn't feel it was appropriate. And besides, I had this figure which was really cool anyway. So I thought what would be really cool was that the griffins aren't tamed as such, but in times of need, because they work together and they're kind of symbiotic, the wild griffins will come down from the mountain and aid the halflings in time of war. And this griffin, I don't know if you can see from the pictures or the video, but he's kind of I don't know what the word is, maybe rustic, sort of rough looking. I mean, his feathers are very sort of rough, and like he hasn't been brushed or anything like that. So he's definitely a wild griffin, and I thought that was perfect. So, and I like the pose as well, sort of very menacing, coming down. He comes with a rock at the back there. I really like that, so I thought that was a really nice little addition to the theme. And like with the other armies, the other 2 halfling armies, they got a cockatrix and an undead cockatrix as their big. So now we can move on to the troops for the army, as those are all the interesting bits. Over here we have the 3, so call them core units if you like. So at the back there we got a unit of archers, just bog standard halfling archers. And at the front here we got the halfling pikes or spears, and in the middle there is another unit of archers. So with these archers in the middle here, these were figures that came out from Last Sword. They just did a 1 month, one of the patron sets for the month was sort of mercenaries. That's where that chef came from, and these halfling archers came from there. And they were such detailed, interesting figures, with quite a few customizational bits, and I just really liked them. I thought they were really, really cool. They all looked sort of individual, interesting. You got the musician who's playing a banjo, the chef, the sort of standard bearer with his interesting banner, and there was obviously, it has a sort of a griffin on the banner top. So well, actually, it's a chicken, but it works as a griffin. And I just really wanted them in the army, so I added them in. But obviously, between these 2, they were very different units. This is a very sort of regimental archer unit, where this is a more sort of haphazard archer unit. So I'm going to use them maybe as scouts, or as a sort of veteran archer unit, that sort of type of thing. So that's where the army is at the moment. This is around, I mean, you can use this for Dragon Rampant or Age of Fantasy, Warlords of Erewhon, any of those type of games. I'm going to build it up a little bit more, but for now it's a playable game, playable force to begin with. I mean, we've got 3, 4, 5 core units or 5 infantry units, and a cavalry unit and a monster unit, some magic, some fighting characters. So I think that's really enough to play, hence why I'm showing it now. It's almost complete. As I said, I need to finish the standard bearer there, a couple of bits and pieces to add, like sort of embellishments and whatnot. But the army is ready to go. I think for future reference, I might add, another pikeman unit. These pikemen and the archers are from Wargames Atlantic's Halfling box set. So I think you get like 24 figures in there, or maybe 30 figures, I can't remember. So I got like another 6 pikemen, which I can add to the army, but I think I'm going to try and get another 6, maybe get another frame or something like that, and then make a second unit over there. And then I'll see what other interesting stuff. Maybe some eagles as a sort of flying extra unit, 6 to the theme. Maybe not, they're not griffins, but something of that nature. Yeah, so that's one of the things I've been working on. Another halfling army for my halfling wars. And I already got ideas for other halfling armies already, but I got to focus on what I'm doing at the moment. So I've got to finish this and then finish the other projects I'm busy with. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so what you're looking at here is some reinforcements for my Portalians, which is my sort of Portuguese slash Estalian army, slash conquistador army, which I designed as a way of using in different games and have not used in any games yet. But their time will come. So this is obviously just going to be look a little haphazard because I've just added some random stuff to the army. And if you haven't seen the army yet, I suggest following a link below or maybe up at the top here to my showcase of the original first half of the army. And you can see there if it'll make more sense as I explain the theme and whatnot. But these are some of the reinforcements I have added. So first, easy one to do is this bull rider over here. I had 3 before, and I wanted a 4th one to add to the unit, just to make it a little more bulkier and intimidating. So this lady has joined the unit of Matadors. This is all from Titan Forge. Most of this is for 3D printed from Titan Forge and Last Sword miniatures, and I'll individually state them as I go. So that was a nice and easy one to do. Just quick added a 4th bull rider to that, and I intend to use those as like demigriff riders, that type of thing. Then, because I wanted more characters in the unit, in the army, just to add a little bit of individuality, and when I do games and campaigns and those type of things, each character then can represent a specific person. So I've got a foot and mounted version of this fella. This is from Titan Forge, so he's obviously a conquistador style captain, which he'll be a Portalian captain. He's got a funky sword, nice little shield, lots of plumage on his hat, and a pistol for support. So there's a foot and mounted version of him, and then the same sort of principle applies here. We've got this guy, he's from Last Sword miniatures, and he's also going to be a Portalian captain. So you got the mounted version there if he wants to join a mounted unit, and a foot version. He's armed with a pistol and a sword. Nice little figure. And then these guys down in the front here, well, actually, I'll come back to those. So this guy over here, he was the leader of a greatsword unit from Titan Forge. I don't have any greatswords in the army, or heavy weapon, heavy armored, sort of great weapon yielding units. I might have one in the future, but I really like the figure a lot. He kind of reminds me of a sort of a ship admiral, something like that. And that's kind of how I think I'm going to use him. You know, someone when the ships come to shore and they need to send some figures, some dudes, you know, to establish a beachhead or whatever. I think I'll use that guy because I think he's quite a cool figure. I really like it. Has a very admiral nature to him. That was from Titan Forge as well. And this lady here, she's from Titan Forge. She's kind of like a queen. I really like this figure a lot. You got the pug holding the pug and this sort of rod with the lightning coming out of it. Really cool. Really nice figure. I oomed and ahed at what color I was going to make this, because obviously the army is predominantly red, black, with spots of green, and the other lady I painted for the army is just NPCs really. It was pink. I think it was pink, wasn't it? Pink and green. So this one is blue and black, and I think it came out quite nice. And then these 3 cannons down here, originally this was the cannon I had for my army to begin with. I had 2 of these, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a light cannon, so I printed this off Thingiverse, and it came out fine. It was alright. It's not a terrible thing. We upped the size, lowered the size, couldn't really decide what I wanted to go with. And then I saw Titan Forge brought these bad boys out. Well, they brought one out with the crew, and I printed it out 3 times just to replace those. I decided, hell with it, I'm going to go with these and just up the size of the bases as well, because I thought the bases were too small for the cannons, or for war machines. I wanted the war machine bases to be bigger, so up the size of the bases, added in a 3rd one, and I only printed out 1 set of the crew because I've got crew from the other cannons already. But these crew were really, really nice. These are all from Titan Forge again. I really liked them. This was one of my favorite figures from the range. I don't know why. It was just a really interesting, nice figure to paint. Very smooth, nicely, evenly detailed, and just really nice. Really liked it. And then you got this fella as well. So you got 3 more crew, 3 more cannons. Got some more characters to add to the army. So the army is still growing, and eventually I will get to bringing this to the table so we can have some games with them and see what they like. And with the old world coming out, I'm hoping I can use them as estalians, and build up a narrative like that. Got to come up. I got plenty of ideas in my head of how I want to use that narrative. Just got to think about what I'm going to do as a sort of opposition. Lizardmen, Arabia, those type of things. So, all right, let's see what else I got. So, the third thing for this month of September is a rumbleslam team. So, this is the Lords of the Ring. It's an expansion pack for rumbleslam from TT Combat. I already got the base game, which I painted up the two original teams, which is a human team and an orc team. And I did them like, as I'm a kid from the 80s and 90s, I did them in the WWE style. So the orcs are painted up like the British Bulldog, and his friends. And then I did the humans as the Hart Foundation, so Bret Hart and Antelope, those guys. And I've only played a couple of games of Rumble Slam. It's a good, fun little game. And I thought, you know what? Let's get another team, have a little fun with it. And this was the team I wanted. It's another Halfling team. Shocker, I know. But I really like these guys. So this reminded me of the Luchador Dragons, with what's his name, Rey Mysterio, those type of guys. So I really like this team. Really fun, quirky little models, lots of detail, and I went with a yellow and black color scheme. I had a look online, saw what colors Rey Mysterio was wearing, and the yellow and black one caught my eye. Which it also different to what I got the other teams from. So the orc team is kind of red, white, and blue. The human team is pink and black. So I didn't want to use any of those colors, and so I had to go with something completely different. And yellow and black just seemed very appropriate and fun. I also did, which I'll come to in the next segment, is like I tried a little video sort of painting tutorial with that guy there, just to see what it was like, fiddling my way through. Maybe do some painting tutorials in the future, or just previews of what I'm painting as a painting sort of tutorial type thing. I don't know, it's something to that effect. But anyway, I really like these figures. They were really fun, really interesting, and I would love to see them go on the field or on the ring. I noticed TT Combat brought out a huge ring and arena type thing for Rumble Slam recently. I saw it announced on their Facebook page. It looks amazing, but massive, because they used to do a ring before and you could store your stuff under the ring. Now it's got a huge stadium to go with it, with an entrance and all sorts of stuff. It's unbelievable. It would look really cool if you had that to play on. So, maybe something for the future. You never know. But yes, so these are my Lords of the Ring. Nice and simple. It was just 6 figures. I got them done in a day, and I did that little video as well just to show that this was coming. And yeah, what did you guys think of that? All right, let's move on to something else. Okay, so the last thing on what I've been working on this month is Casualty Figures. That's right. I love a Casualty figure, and I think they bring so much, I don't know if fun is the right word, but interest to the table when you add the Casualty figures when units have been broken or destroyed or whatever the case may be. And what you can see here is 2 of the sets of Casualty figures I've been working on based on 2 of the armies I've been working on. So on the left here, you've got some Halfling casualties. These are from TT Combat's Casualties and Drunken Halfling range. So I just used some of the drunk, although one of them was standing on a beer barrel with a mug, so I couldn't use him because he definitely doesn't look dead. But these 6 worked really well. So I've got 6 Halfling casualties there. And then the ones on the right here, these are for my Portalians. So these are a mixture of Last Sword. So Last Sword did for the first time, they did some casualties, which is this fella. And this fella who's generally leaning against something with a spear going through him like that. I printed out a couple of those. And then all the rest of these figures in the middle here, except for the Last Sword ones, are from Tiny Furniture, which were just sort of generic dead soldiers. And I tried to add a couple of, conquistador helmets and stuff, Spanish helmets, and just bring them up into the same style. and paint them up obviously in the same color scheme. Now I'm a massive collector of Casualty figures, and if you have any Casualty figures and you don't need them or never going to use them, please please send them to me. I will gladly take them off your hand. Any period, any type of figure is great. I've even got a little box now that I've been collecting with compartments in collecting the Casualty figures for my Zulus, my British, my Halflings. Funny enough, for the undead halflings, I'm not using Casualty figures like this. I'm using little skull piles, which are quite cute, which will be quite fun. Or when I get back to filming games, I want to up the quality of the games by seeing if I can use the Casualty figures when units are getting crushed. And yeah, I think that'll be really cool. I wish companies would do more Casualty figures, but it's not really something that everyone likes. It's I had to nag last sword to do a Casualty figure. They did it, and they haven't done it again since. Although Titanforge do have, with their Lizardman range, they do have a couple of Casualty figures there. So I might go print them out and see how they fit in with that. But yeah, that is the last thing I've done for this month. So that's everything I've been working on. I've been working on a couple of other bits and pieces, but they are not ready to show yet. So hopefully they'll be ready for next month. So let's move on to the next segment. Okay, so for things I've uploaded to the channel, there wasn't a lot of activity on the channel. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of activity on the channel for probably most of the summer. I did put up a video last month, just toying around with an idea. I was trying to cut down to a short, like a sort of YouTube short length, but it's just too much editing to cut it down that much. Which was a little painting. I was painting up one of the miniatures, and I brought the camera out and filmed most of it. I did sort of two types of videos. I only uploaded one. I was going to do another one, but I don't know. I'll see how that goes. It's sort of trial and error, if you like. Just fiddling around with it, trying to see what I can come up with. Otherwise, going forward, I have ideas for videos that I want to do, but currently there was not a lot. I do have a couple of videos in the bank, if you like. John and I played a couple of games a while ago. So I think it's a Warlords of Erewhon and a Dragon Rampant game, which I could edit and put up. If you guys want to see that, just comment below. Otherwise, I haven't played any games. Probably maybe one over the last whole 3 or 4 months. Just been really busy, lots of going on in my life, so I just didn't have time for gaming. But I've been painting, as you may have seen, and I've also been watching. So as another segment, a couple of channels I've been watching. Now, whenever I do these monthly summaries, I want to highlight a few channels that I've been watching. You may or may know them already, and that's cool. If you don't, go check them out. I think they'll be worth a look, especially, and I'm going to try and theme them as well. So in this case, the 3 channels I want to bring to light are, I'm a very narrative, story-driven gamer. I like narrative and story and theme and reasoning for fighting, those type of things. And these 3 guys, their channels are brilliant for this sort of thing. So I thought I'll put the links below and you can go check them out, but give you a quick description. The first one is Big Small Worlds. I found this channel recently. It's not a big channel, but it should be. I mean, the guy basically does, him and his friends, I think there's 6 or 7 of them, they do a Warhammer Fantasy campaign. So the story is predominantly set in the old world in Tylia. In fact, it's the whole narrative is driven around the setting in Tylia, which is sort of Italian city-states, if you want to look at it that way. And he does a fantastic job. I mean, he puts in a lot of effort to hide the bases, set up cinematography, like really cinematic scenes. He does everything in a sort of a narrative role play sort of setting. When he does the battle reports, they're just, summaries, but with a nice narrative twist to it. It's really good. I really enjoy it. It's great for when I'm painting. I have it on the background. There's a ton of episodes, and he does a fantastic job at really setting the scene. You get to know the characters, and he does a little bit of voices as well, and it's really good. I really recommend it, especially if you're interested in Warhammer Fantasy. This is a great campaign for that. But he doesn't do a lot of videos explaining how the campaigns work and who's winning and that sort of thing. It's just like a narrative story, like if you were reading a book about what was happening, or listening to a book, more likely. And it's he also very low fantasy. I mean, very much. So it reminds me of very much of the Italian wars, city-state sort of thing in Italia, and a lot of the companies and mercenary companies very set up. There's still obviously goblins and orcs and ogres and that type of thing, but it's really good. I definitely recommend checking it out. Second channel is Ash and Stone. Ash and Stone. This channel does predominantly Oathmark, but also Age of Fantasy and a little bit of Lord of the Rings. But what I like about it is he's not just doing battle reports for those games. He's using those games in a narrative to tell a story. So he likes Oathmark is his favorite, I think, and he does a lot of really interesting customizable tables and scenery. So when he's doing a narrative scene, like if, for example, they're fighting in front of a cave entrance, then he has the cave there, and really good, nice productions, really good storytelling, really high editing skills as well. You can see all the dice rolls and mistakes and anything like that noted immediately. And of course he does the voices. The voices is not really my cup of tea, but it adds a little bit of a flavor and slightly different as well. I think he does a really, really good job, and I think his channel should really be highlighted as well, because I think it's really fun watching the battle reports. When you have the narrative flow through and you have the characters going through their story, you get almost like you're watching a TV show. So it's really good. I really enjoy it. And then the third channel is Cinematic Tabletop. Now this is a really interesting. This fella does bolt action. He does some other games as well, Warcry, that sort of stuff. But his bolt action battle reports are friggin' fantastic. Really, really, really good. They are so well. I don't know how to explain it. It's like he's got the voices down to a T for the British and the Germans. The scenarios are really well set up, and they are super thematic, very fun to watch. And he doesn't take the game too seriously. A lot of times you might watch a battle report and the guys playing are really set up their armies to be at the max potential. His army builds are generally quite soft, and they're more to do with what's happening on the scenario, that sort of thing. And his choices sometimes during the games, I would say, is also narratively driven. So I like it a lot. I think it's really good. Whenever I see a bolt action battle report cover, I watch it on the TV rather than on the computer screen when I'm painting. So I actually watching it like I'm watching a cinematic movie, like the guns in Navarro and those type of things. So yeah, it's really good. I think it's really, really, really good channels, especially if you like a bit of theme and narrative to your battle reports. I highly recommend them. They're really, really fun to watch, and go check them out. To end of this monthly roundup, I didn't really buy many things. I'm still working on a few projects, and I still belong to a couple of patron STL companies, Last Sword, Titan Forge, the printing never goes on, those type of things. And most of them were Bretonian based STLs this month, which I might use in the future. But at the moment I'm focusing on sort of a couple of projects that I've got going. Hopefully there'll be some videos and stuff for that at the end of next month. But in the meantime, I'm going to just end off this video with some pictures of commissions and stuff we've done. A lot of commissions have been done over the last 3 or 4 months. I haven't got pictures of all of them. I've been really lax on the sort of social media front, but hopefully you can have a look at these and say what you think. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next month. Bye bye.